Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So as you all know, we just celebrated Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Day to honor the brother's legacy, to honor his history and his contribution to the movement for civil and human rights in this country and in the world. And so many of us were off from school and work, and rightfully so. You know, it's a great thing that we honor this great man and his great legacy. Now, every year around this time, you have people here on YouTube that post videos where they disparage and diminish the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And I want to just take out time to defend that legacy, to defend that brother. Here's a brother who risked everything for his people. He risked his life, he risked his freedom, so that black people could be free from the shackles of Jim Crow. That's what that brother was fighting for. You know, people want to diminish his legacy and make it seem like he was just fighting so that black people could live with white people and simply be integrated into this society. That's not what the brother was fighting for. He was fighting for freedom, justice, and equality. The same things that people like Malcolm X were fighting for. It was just a difference in tactics. You know, this brother, because of his sacrifice, we have many basic human and civil rights that many of us take for granted today. And let's be perfectly clear, it wasn't just about him as an individual. It was about a movement that he helped lead, a movement that he was a part of, a movement that he inspired. So by celebrating Dr. King, we're celebrating not only his sacrifices and what he did for black people, we're celebrating the sacrifices of all those civil rights workers that fought so that we could have human rights, so that we could have basic civil and human rights. You know, basic rights that we take for granted, like the right to go to any restaurant, to the right to go to public accommodations without seeing signs that say, no colors allowed and no dogs allowed. Basic human rights like the right to vote. These are things that this brother fought for and died for. You know, these basic things. And, you know, the right to an education, the right to go to any school so that you can get a quality education and stuff. Those are the things that this brother fought for. And many of us forget later in his life, he fought against the war in Vietnam, you know, fought against American imperialism. We forget that this brother also fought against poverty in this country. He waged a war against poverty. That was the last thing that he was in the process of doing, the Poor People's Campaign, before he was assassinated by the United States government. So this brother's legacy cannot be diminished. And I just find it odd that the same people that want to criticize Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy are the same people that live in the suburbs, the same people that live in integrated communities. These people want to talk about separation and black nationalism, why they reap the benefits of so-called integration, why their kids go to integrated schools, why they go to some white man's job, why they have, you know, live in these predominantly white neighborhoods or mixed neighborhoods. They want to lecture you and me about how horrible it was to, you know, what Martin Luther King did in terms of fighting for civil rights and stuff like that. Even if you disagree with this man's tactics, you have to recognize and celebrate his courage. This brother marched in the streets for freedom, justice, and equality. He faced the police dogs. He faced the police batons. He faced the KKK while people sit in the comfort of their homes talking behind computer screens, behind avatars where you don't even know their name, you don't even see their face. They got all this stuff to say about this man that put everything on the line for the people. You know, a lot of these people that talk all this black separatism talk and this black nationalist talk, they don't live what they talk. They talk separation while they live integration. So it's hard to really take a lot of the stuff that they're saying seriously. And when we look at what King was able to accomplish in his lifetime and compare it to, what these so-called black nationalists and black separatists were able to accomplish, there's no comparison at all. Fundamental change has happened as a result of the passage of the Civil Rights Act. It wouldn't have even happened if it wasn't for people like Martin Luther King. Fundamental change has happened as a result of the Voting Rights Act being passed. But that would not have been possible without Martin Luther King. If we look at the expansion of the black middle class, these are measurable differences that are a direct result of the legacy of the civil rights movement. If we look at the education rate in terms of higher education in the black community and we compare it to the Jim Crow era, there's no comparison because of the work of the civil rights movement. You have far more educated black people today as a result of the movement, far more black people in the middle and upper classes as a result of the civil rights movement. You have far more elected black officials as a result of the civil rights movement. Measurable things that you can point to and say, well, we had this number of elected officials during Jim Crow and we had this increased, substantially higher number after the passage of civil rights legislation. So there's no comparison. Because of the work of people like Dr. Martin Luther King, you had the nation's first black elected president. You have black governors and black senators and black Congress people and black mayors and state representatives and all those things because of the work of this brother. But what do you have as a result of the work of these black nationalists? Where there's these institutions they talk about building. We've been hearing for years about the importance of, of building the institutions and all that kind of stuff. And there are black institutions that have been created and stuff like that in our community. But where are the institutions that these black nationalists have built as a collective? Where are the schools that these black nationalists have built? Where are these things? Where is the Hotep police force to protect black communities? These people specialize in talking, but they don't specialize in actually building things and actually producing tangible results. They constantly talk about tangibles when it comes to elected officials, but these black nationalists don't produce any tangibles for the black community. They criticize the black church, for instance, but the black church has done far more measurable things for the black community than the so-called Hoteps have ever done or ever will do. So yeah, I just had to get this little frustration off my chest, man, because I just can't stand to see these armchair revolutionaries criticizing this great man who sacrificed everything for his people.